Welcome back to the show. Let me ask you, viewers. With all the footage we have seen of the new game, we haven't really seen that much footage of our villain, now have we? We've all seen his dehydrated body on display for about 4 years, and now we finally have some footage of Ganondorf's new groove. In short, it seems that he is in full samurai mode now, something I wasn't really expecting. But setting aside all the daddy jokes out there, it works. Up until this point, I've basically expected that the game would focus much more on his spellcasting abilities, more sorcery than sword, that is. With him in samurai mode, it asks the question, where is his sword? A samurai's soul has always been stated to be in their katana, at least figuratively that is. And a katana doesn't exactly fit the Gerudo desert theme, now does it? Sure, they have curved blades, but scimitars are not katanas. The Giga clan have some curved blades, and even some soldier types that resemble a samurai complete with a wind sword. If we are going to have a Ganondorf who is a samurai, then it seems likely that this Ganondorf will have a special sword to fit his role. Well, I'm Cornelius Belmont, and let's talk about Ganondorf's katana. Hey guys, thanks for watching the show. If you like what I do, please give this video a like and subscribe. Make sure to click the bell notification so you don't miss an episode. Thanks to these people for letting me use their assets. Spoilers ahead for the following games. Now, let's begin. During the recent Let's Chat About podcast talking about the Master Sword, I raised an interesting question to my guest. I asked if they thought if Demise and Ghirahim would return in this game. Here is a brief recount of their responses. Do you think that Demise or Ghirahim will return in Tears of the Kingdom? Dr. Wiley, if you would.
Hell no. But I could actually see maybe the Sword of Demise making a return as the weapon that Ganon uses.
I would love it if Demise came back, but I really don't see it happening.
I don't think we'll see Demise or Ghirahim in the physical sense. I think we'll see a Demise like Ganondorf coming to full power using the hatred of Demise at its fullest potential. But I don't think we'll actually see Demise himself.
Demise specifically. I think Ghirahim's like a product of Demise reappearing.
I think that Demise will be in the game in the same sense that like technically Fi has been in every game the Master Sword's been in. Demise will always be part of Ganondorf's reincarnation and coming to power and whatnot.
Well, following those statements, this dropped from the final trailer. That's right, what appears to be Demise or a Ganondorf-inspired Demise, standing under the glow of a blood moon. So, the first really big question to ask is Demise back? And the second question is if his sword, Ghirahim, will return with him. Let's consider Demise more specifically at the moment. At the end of Skyward Sword, he was defeated and his essence was locked away in the Master Sword to decay. We don't know how long it has been trapped in the sword, but it seems that at least 12,000 years has passed since those events. The exact number of years that has passed isn't really important, because we have no gauge for how long it would take for Demise to decay, so it is best to think of it as though he has been trapped inside of the sword. If not his mind, at least his power. His incarnation of hate, however, that does continue to persist outside of the sword, as we know that Ganondorf has historically been the one to inherit that mantle. Indeed, Skyward Sword does seem to have been created to imply that Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time was none other than the next incarnation of Demise. And Breath of the Wild doubles down on this concept by referring to Dark Beast Ganon in the same terminology. Throw in other concepts like no Gerudo men being born ever since, and a trailer showcasing a mummified body front and center, and it is clear what happened. My very first video on this channel made that claim, that he was trapped like this to prevent Demise's hatred from reincarnating. and that malice generated as a result from the body, basically like a ticking time bomb. Now we have some context of what happened after Breath of the Wild. Link reclaimed the Master Sword while him and Zelda went to go look for the source of the malice. Perhaps because giant pits of it started to open up on the surface. They found the source, and it awakens. But what does the malice from the body target? It looks like it might be targeting Zelda with Link defending her. But if you look closer, you will notice that in this scene, Link drops the Master Sword to dive and try to save Zelda. In the following scene, there is no malice chasing him. My conclusion is that the torrent of malice wasn't targeting Link at all, but instead was targeting the Master Sword. And it did so to break the sword and release Demise's power. From there, Ganondorf's corpse would absorb the power. This scene from the new trailer implies that Ganondorf at least has some aspect of the Demon Lord in him. So let's return to the original question about his weapon. And for that, we need to talk about Ghirahim. When Demise was defeated, his sword disappeared. It wasn't destroyed, it simply vanished. We know that Ghirahim is a sword spirit like Fi, though he is a bit more emotional, as the word Fi is a bit more on the logic side. That being said, he takes on the form of some sort of evil Master Sword when fighting against the Demon Lord. We know little about this and how the weapon came to be. It could simply be an inverse of the Goddess Sword used by Hylia. Some have floated the theory that it is a Larulian Master Sword based on the inverted Triforce image on it, but I have to disagree with that. Could it simply be an inverse to the Master Sword? The yin to Fi's yang? I think that is more likely given the Buddhist symbolism in the recent games. If Ganondorf was born with Demise's hate inside of him, and if he went down the path of conquest as we see in the other games, it makes sense that the Demon Sword may return to him. And so I float the idea that we will see a new Samurai Ganondorf, with a katana that is the new incarnation of Ghirahim. Will Ghirahim appear as a character himself? I don't think so. At most, there might be a flash of light similar to what we see with the Master Sword, indicating that Fi is around. But I do indeed believe that the Demon's Sword will be returning as a katana. If that was all there was to talk about, then this video would be far too short. I am making long-form content after all. I have one more thing to talk about involving Ganondorf and his sword, and for that, I need to speak about the Tears of the Kingdom. It would seem that Ganondorf is going into full Thanos mode here. There are 7 tears here, and each one seems to be related to the elemental properties based on the old sages we have seen in past games. Fire, wind, water, light, shadow, spirit, and time. The first 6 are clearly depicted in Skyward Sword as symbols, with time being largely related to Hylia herself, i.e. Princess Zelda. It seems to me that Ganondorf's goal is now to collect the Tears of the Kingdom for himself. Personally, I think that the ancient sages used the tears in order to seal him away, and thus prevent Demise's reincarnation, completely unaware that the malice would just build and build. They may have been completely ignorant of such a thing as this cutting off the renewed birth of the Gerudo males in the tribe, and thus effectively killing off the royal lineage of their people. Perhaps that is why there is an incomplete statue of the 8th heroine. They were building it expecting a new king to be born, but he never came. Back to the topic at hand. I bring up the tears because if Ganondorf is collecting them, he will need a place to put them, right? The trailer showed that he has one in his headdress. Later parts of the trailer show that it is filled with fire. And so I am inclined to believe that he has looted the Tear of Fire from Death Mountain. Who knows, maybe Yunobo fell victim to the Demon King. I know the idea has been upsetting some in the community, but those people should remember that Breath of the Wild itself actively showcased characters who had died heroically. Anyhow, after looking over Ganondorf's design, I noticed that he is wearing a necklace that has 5 blank spots on it. Could those possibly be fitted with the Tears of the Kingdom? Of course, that would only account for 6 tears in total, so where would the final one go? Well, I am proposing that the final tier would be placed in his sword. A magatama embedded into a samurai katana. I honestly can't think of anything more Japanese than that, can you? Well, at least in terms of an anime-inspired game like this. And if you don't think that the Zelda series isn't anime-inspired, well, I'm afraid to say you haven't been paying close attention since Skyward Sword. Anyhow, given the heavy tones of Japanese culture in the game, it would fit really well. If I'm right about this, you can be sure that I will bring it up again in a future video. It's 20 days until the release of the game, but for now, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching. Well, those are my thoughts on the situation, but now I'm interested in yours. Do you think that Demise will return in the game? Perhaps you agree that Ganondorf's katana will be Ghirahim. I'm not convinced that will actually be the case, but I hope it is. In any case, leave your thoughts in the comments below. This channel is supported by Patreon. Patreon is the backbone of many content creators. If you have the means of helping out, a pledge to the Patreon would be appreciated. Doing so will get you access to the channel's Discord. From there, you'll be able to give direct input on upcoming episodes. I should warn you, I can get pretty chatty at 2 AM. Oh, and of course your name will be listed in every episode. Well, that's all I have for you today. I'm gonna go work on that episode of Judgment Time I keep promising. The inspiration for this episode hit while I was working on it. So, what's that old saying? Strike while the hammer is hot? All the same, thanks for watching. Have a good day.